All right, next up we have Cindy and Zubin from Dynamic Budget. So welcome. I think
Naka
you're
mute.
muted, Zubin.
Let's try that again. How about now? Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Zubin Gidwani. My colleague Cindy Sang is going to be walking you through a demo. I'm just going to show you a couple of brief PowerPoint slides and kick it over. Dynamic Budgets is a budgeting, forecasting, and reporting tool. You're going to see two of our colleagues, two additional ISVs today present their products. They'll typically characterize themselves as ex-FP&A tools or CPM suites, which kind of can consider themselves data warehousing, reporting, and budgeting. We are primarily a budgeting tool that has convenience reporting, making it easy so you don't have to drop out of the budgeting experience to do your reporting. But we're not going to be a huge data warehousing solution that you're going to have to go out and get all arms of the company to agree upon using a single reporting platform. We are primarily a budgeting tool, coming in at a lower price point, a much easier decision for your team to make. We are available on Sage Intacct. We're also coming from a legacy from Microsoft Dynamics GP, available on Business Central, Acumatica, and Oracle NetSuite. Some of our customers are actually going through acquisitions and gobbling up additional companies that are on other ERPs. And we have several of our customers who actually wanted us to blend in those different systems, either the legacy system, what they're jumping from, jumping to, but also we've got a new acquisition over on NetSuite, and we need to merge that in with our Intacct. Can we roll that up into one environment? The answer is yes. So I'm going to go to my next slide if this cooperates. There we go. Cindy and I, here's our contact information. You'll be able to refer back to that at the end of our slides. What we really want to focus on is that we're a people-based solution. There are a lot of sophisticated tools out there that are great for the finance team, 3 people in finance running the entire budget, top-down, trend analysis, things like that. We do have quite a bit of administrative features that are huge time savers for the finance team, but what we really want to focus on is mass deploying our solution out to the unwashed masses of non-technical, non-financial department heads. If you've got marketing managers or maintenance managers or events team, project planners, people who are challenged to work with Excel, that's who we're really being able to embrace and bring into the budgeting process with a very standardized and easy to use sort of intuitive interface. What our interface looks like, Cindy's going to show you to real time, but it looks something like this. When they drill down into an account, we're looking at our sales account for retail parts. We give them an opportunity to itemize what their expenses or revenue plan is going to be for the year. They can add in as many line items in the top half of the screen and itemize what they're going to budget for. If they want to know how much they spent in the prior year, they can look at the bottom half of the screen. And if they want to know why they spent $1,000 in January of last year, they click on that number and they can drill down straight to the transaction details coming from Intacct. And on the far right side of that screen, we actually have a link that points back to Sage. So if you are an Intacct user, you also have the ability to drill down into Sage, look at the invoice details, and then possibly jump over to your AP document imaging system and get a copy of the invoice and all that detail. We are really want you to think about this as being a continuous improvement cycle. You're going to budget step 1. You're going to come in and analyze your budget to actual variances month over month and ask your staff to put in notes. Why was I over under this month? Can I recover by end of year? Next year, should I do something differently? So you take those notes in the system, and then you can refer back to those in the bottom half of the data entry screen. They're available for you the next time you go back into a reforecast or when you go back into the next year's budget. Why people turn to dynamic budgets? It's really, the majority of our customers are running as fast as they can away from Excel. We don't like formulas. We don't like end users inventing math. We don't want to have to worry about templates and choosing which template to use in which case, for what purpose. We have a standardized approach. We do have the ability to do driver-based models for more advanced purposes, but the majority of our users use the standardized interface. Our customers typically have hundreds or thousands of departments. Our largest customers got 29,000 cost centers that they juggle, and just a lot of data going through the system. Big key selling point is that we do not have a per user pricing basis. We license the product for your organization based on the size of the organization, but it's unlimited users. So if there's 10 people in budgeting, another 20 people could use this as a reporting tool. The more the merrier. We want to encourage use, encourage visibility into the financials, get more people taking ownership of the financials and accepting it as their own and not blaming that, oh, those are corporate's numbers. They weren't realistic. They're not mine. I'm not going to pay attention. No, those were your details you put in. We're going to hold your feet to the fire. We're very quick to deploy. Typically, most of our customers are out the door in about 10 hours of training and setup. We populate your payroll, set up all your users, set up some custom reports, and you're ready to go. If you were a healthcare organization, you tend to be the most complicated of our customers, and usually maybe about 30 hours. Some of our competitors will quote 100 to 200 hours for implementation. We simply can't invent that many hours. It's a much easier product to work with. So I'm going to turn this over to Cindy.
Perfect. Thank you, Zubin. Let me go ahead and share my screen. All right. So Zubin in his presentation, he did show you this screen where we navigate our users to where they can enter their budget. So right now I'm filtering based on a specific department and they're able to see prior actuals total as well as our proposed budget. So if we dive into travel sales New York, they're able to put in their line items for travel with its flights, rentals, and meals. So I'm going to slide this across and you'll see the differences where they're entering when they're planning to travel and use for flights and meals, things like that. So you can see February and March, they don't have anything in here. And down below, they can see what their trend has been going on. So if we go into 2019 actuals, they can see what they actually spent in each month by clicking through each month. And they'll see the transactions below. So if this is like an expense account for office supplies, you'll see what vendor they have been spending on and how much. I wanted to show another way to enter your budget where this is just called our basic budget entry form, where they can just see all the months across and then can go ahead and type in those values in these boxes here. If you're a company where you don't want much detail, you just want to get straight to the point with your values, you can do this as well. So then your users can see the trend. Once you're complete, you can run specific reports where it's a month-to-month report and group them by specific categories that you may use in your ERP reporting system. So for instance, I have the same budget, but I'm grouping it by company P&L. So you're able to see that we grouped it by revenue and COGS. Some users may not know what a specific GL account is. If you throw out, hey, can you look at 50,100? They're not going to understand what that means, but you're able to dive in and have them group it so they can see where that line follows or where that line falls. Okay. Another one, what we do have is our custom reports where they can see their actual versus budget. And you can see we also formatted this report with revenues and expenditures. And in here, they can drill down as well. So if they right click into this number and view details, it will populate all those account numbers that fall within that category. And as our other budget entry screen, they can click the different cells and they can see the transactions below of what occurred and what has posted. Our next screen that I would like to show you is our payroll. So a lot of times of budgeting payroll, we have to ensure that the employees, their taxes, if they're hourly, if they're salary. We make it really easy where you're able to copy and paste. If you're downloading the information from your payroll system, you can paste this in. So for Homer, I have him for full time here. I put all the hours across exactly the same. I'm going to move this over all the way here. And you'll see that the head count, I do have him at a 1. But at March, I have her at 0.5. I can keep the hours exactly the same so I don't have to calculate how many hours per month. I can just put her at half, that she's a part-timer, and it'll automatically calculate. So if I click on the magnifying glass, it gives us a preview of what her salary is for this budgeted year. Let me
And
show
just
you
to point
Homer as
out,
well.
and just to point out that in all of these screens, we've had a couple of extra columns for the dimensions, project and employee. The dimensions are available in manual data entry, in driver-based worksheets throughout the payroll module, and our allocation calculators.
Thank you, Zubin. I'm going to switch over to our salary screen. Very similar, just we don't have the hours in here. And you'll see Homer here as well. But we're able to allocate him in two different departments where he's 100% and then he's 70% September through February or September through June. So if I click on this magnifying glass here, it will calculate that difference for you. So you'll see that first portion that he's 100% along with his taxes or any payroll expenses that you may want to calculate. Then I'll do that 70-30 for the rest of the year. Perfect. And then we also gave him a raise here, so you can put in raises for your employees and it will help you calculate that along the way. Like Zubin mentioned, we have our dimensions here as well. Did you want to touch base on this, Zubin? You are mute.
This is a screen where we can come through and associate the dimensions to various different departments. So if we look at this, we may not want to associate employees to repairs and maintenance or professional fees or bank charges. So we could actually delete the optional setting on the employee column from, say, telecommunications down. You just delete there. We may only want it on labor and maybe the cell phone charges to associate, or maybe it's on the T&E and core salary expenses. So you can associate dimensions to accounts. The next screen we're going to show is that we've got a lot of dimensional controls. We built in a security system around who has access to the codes within a dropdown. So if you have a project dimension, and the project has IT projects, marketing projects, and maintenance projects, you may not necessarily want to show the IT codes to the marketing manager, and the maintenance manager might not need to see the marketing codes themselves. So you can grant specific codes to specific people throughout the system. We have further controls that if you're using the dimension code combination functionality, the restrictions functionality in Intact, we do support that as well, such that if project code 1 could only be associated with grant code 100, you could set up those relationships so you could respect those and not have the end users create any willy-nilly combination of codes that they felt like. They'd have to play by the rules and only use the acceptable combinations. All right, I'll turn it back over to Cindy to walk through Power BI.
Yeah, so lastly, before we go, I just wanted to touch base that we do have an open data structure where we can pull your data into Power BI or Tableau or any reporting tool that we can create customized dashboards. So it's not out of the box. We make it more customized for your users because every user is different and they want to view things differently. And we want to make sure if they're out on the field or they're having a quick meeting, they can review those numbers right away and get to what they need and what they actually find beneficial for them. So quickly here, I wanted to show that we're able to group the revenue as you saw on our other reporting screen and give you that total right away at your fingertips, as well as expenses, your net income. Then we have a leaderboard of what department's doing the best because we're always my last company, we are always competitive. So we want to know if we're in the green, not in the red. We're also able to kind of quickly have a screen for reviewing line item details if you want to quickly go through, as well as our user access of who's really logging in, where are they spending the most time on, and are they a super user? Because maybe if that super user is really confident in the system, they can kind of help other users kind of bring them up so everyone's on the same level field. So I wanted to stop here because I don't want to go over time, but does anybody have any questions for Zubin and I?